1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
When the kids are counting
Sing it, Sabrina.
sheep. When the kids go to sleep, dreams and memories.
Take off.
When the kids go to sleep.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Does my face look red? It was like really sunny on my run today.
It looks fine, babe.
Does it look fine?
Tell them it looks fine, you guys. Come on.
You know what I get, you guys? I've got this like Harry Potter vein going on. I don't know if you can see it right here. It starts to like...
I have one too.
Like when I really start to run and like exercise, like this giant vein starts poking out. And then like people start noticing, they're like, whoa, you got a vein. And it's like a pet almost. Like I got this pet vein that is like showed up. And sometimes I'll like hold my finger on it like, go away, vein. Quit poking out. You're freaking
your
people
vein.
out.
Embrace your vein.
Embrace your main vein, which is out of my head. You're not talking to... Okay. Welcome to the podcast, Wtkgts from Maker Studios in Los Angeles, California. It's your favorite podcast. Let's admit it right now.
Well, come on. It's gotta be.
If somebody was to come up to you
be?
in the streets right now and say, what's your favorite podcast? You would say this one. Don't listen to that This American Life or, you know, Adam Carolla or, you know, all those other great podcasts. Just listen to ours.
Because we really know what we're doing all the time.
I want to know if there's like real podsters, like people like listen to podcasts, you know, because
the podcasts,
you know, there's definitely people who watch our podcast on YouTube, and then people who are like podcasters who have like multiple podcasts that they listen to.
I know there is.
Well, we feel honored if we're one of those podcasts that you choose to download for free. Links
for being
below.
a podcaster and including us in your podcast list.
Let's get started. We have a lot to talk about today.
Oh, man,
so
do we ever.
I want to announce we're very excited about our new producer of the podcast, which is Maria. Maria's been doing a great
so
job.
Well organized, and we are excited.
A round of applause.
Yay.
Patricia or Allie, she's moved on. She's like a big wig at Maker now. She's like she's doing
moved on.
CEO kind of stuff.
No.
Not CEO kind of, but she's doing other stuff. So she's moved on. So Maria is going to help us out
but Maria's really
with the
excellent.
podcast, and we're excited. So she's running the Facebook and the Twitter, and I told her to get on there and to tweet because we want you guys to be involved. So look what she's done. She's printed off a bunch of your tweets and questions that we're going to talk about today. Because a lot of times when I'm like, you know, tweet us your questions, and we'll go over them in the show, and then I'm like, get yapping.
He gets a little distracted sometimes.
I talk a lot, and then I don't look at it. So now we have paper of your guys' tweets. Megan Lockhart, I see your little avatar right here. It's like it's not digital. So we're gonna really try to include you guys and involve you. So we want video responses, questions you guys have for us. Hit us up on Facebook, on Twitter. There is, Blake will put it right here, a When the Kids Go to Sleep Twitter and When the Kids Go to Sleep Facebook. So if you guys want to be part of the show and you want to be, you know, ask us questions, do it there. And then you can leave video responses to these podcasts, and we'll see them.
Yeah, we want to start including more video responses because we like to see your shining faces. Yeah. We want to see you asking the questions.
To understand who's watching if we can see you guys.
Yeah.
So, cool. ShayCarl Volcom shirts are still available if you want to check them out.
They're pretty awesome. Totally cool. Radical.
Yeah, on Volcom.com or Rodeo Arcade. Volcom has this color. I really like this color. I feel like I'm kind of like army style today.
It's like the
Check
army
it out.
green.
I got like, whoa, I spilled the water. I got my like camo shorts on with the army green.
I don't know if the camera goes up that high. They might just be looking at your pants.
You're just looking at my butt? But I got like the camo shorts on with the army green Volcom shirt on.
I just wanted to show you he has a camo theme today.
This morning I kind of feel like an army dude when I like got dressed. I was like, I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna get those Nazis.
What?
On the podcast. What?
That was a couple years ago, babe. Okay.
Nazis were a couple years ago?
A couple years ago.
Dang, Nazis always ruining everything. So check out.
Where is this going?
Listen, I apologize if there's any Nazis listening. I don't mean any harm.
There's one thing you will always get on the podcast, and that is randomness.
And racism.
Yes, randomness and racism, always, every time.
I've been watching a Call of Duty. They like teach you to hate not like you're always anyways, let's move on.
Call of Duty?
Speaking of which, let's talk about a more peaceful subject, like Deepak Chopra, the Swami of Sims, I don't know what you'd call him. Okay, so Maria, we should bring those books in here. Let me see those books. So I went, okay. Oh, I got so much to talk about.
I know. I was like, focus.
I gotta align my thoughts.
Like so, we said, we got a list.
Let me see those books real quick. A lot of you guys asked me. This is a good opportunity. Come on in, Maria. This is a good opportunity to say hi to Maria. Come in here, Maria. Thank you. Say hi and poke your head and wave at the camera. Hi, that's Maria. Okay, so I bought Maria all these books. These are going to be like our scriptures for Shayla September. Right, you guys? Hold that up, babe.
This one, I mean, if you're just listening to the podcast, this is a giant green, like, dictionary-sized book called The World's Healthiest Foods. So that's going to be a main, help to the Shayla, so we can get some good tips.
Yeah, like, so for Shayla September, like, there's, like, recipes, tomatoes, Brussels sprouts, like, tells you how to cook, like, all these foods. We're going to, like, go over all this stuff with you.
And it shows you, like, why they're nutritional, like, what's good about them, how to cook them. Anyway, so we're going to use that a lot.
That's a big book. When I was a kid, this would have been a perfect book to build a jump with. You know what I mean? When my mom, me and Casey, we would go through my parents' books and we try to find the thickest book they had because we'd like stack them up and then put boards on them so we could jump them on our bikes. This would be a good jump.
That's a bike building book.
Okay, so a lot of people always ask me, like, you can hold this up, like these. There's some like main books that I've read, like kind of growing up over the last 10 years, I guess, as I've kind of like turned into an adult and like I kind of like. You know, every time we'd go to a bookstore, I'd go to the self-help like the certain
section. Ones that you sort of read growing up.
Yeah, these really are the books
had an impact on you.
That like really like the philosophies that I have and the way that I think. Some of these books right here, specifically these three: The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. This one, Think and Grow Rich, which is kind of a weird title if you don't know the book, by Napoleon Hill. This guy basically studied the greatest Americans in history. We're talking about, Dale Carnegie, Alexander Graham Bell. Like, he was an associate with, like, he studied these great Americans that are like, that basically founded America for 20 years and then wrote a book on what they did to be successful. So this book alone could change your life dramatically. I was just on my run the other day and he was talking about, it's in this book actually. This is another book I'm reading right now called The Slight Edge. We're going to do this book for the book club during September. He quotes this book. In this book, he quotes Dale Carnegie.
They can't all read. They don't know. Okay, so we're talking about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and then The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson.
And then this
one, those are the 2 that he was just talking about.
Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Which, like, I don't know if I like the titles of these. Like, so what? You just want to be rich with a lot of friends?
I know, right?
Like, is that all that matters? Is being rich with a lot of friends? Well, kind of. I mean, wouldn't you like to be rich with a lot of friends? But that's not the point.
The titles definitely don't do the books justice.
Right. I don't like the titles of the books because there's really good, genuine knowledge and information in these books. But it makes it seem like, you just want to have a lot of friends and have a lot of money. Like, is that all that matters to you? Well, no, but there's good stuff in those books. So where I was going is I was at the bookstore, I think it was at Barnes & Noble, buying all these for my team because we're going to be using these for September. And Deepak Chopra there was his books are all over there, like all over the self-help, I can't say that word. Self-help. Thank you. You look pretty today, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You look pretty. Look at that. Show him that necklace. Mommy Tard, she was telling me what an amazing husband I was because I bought her this.
I'm wearing all the jewelry she bought me.
I buy her lots of jewelry. Because I'm rich and I have a lot of friends.
Because I read all these books. And I read all these books
and but I want to talk about Deepak Chopra. Blake put up a thing right here. I got to do an interview with Deepak Chopra, this guy who has a ton of books in the self-help section where I was getting all these books. And I got to do an interview with him at VidCon, and he has a new channel out called the Chopra Well.
Channel.
Yeah, and you can check it out. I think there's gonna be 3 episodes. Is that right, Maria? I think there's 3 episodes, and
with just you?
Yeah, me and Deepak.
That's awesome.
I know. I was nervous. I was really nervous.
So he just started his channel, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And his first guest.
He had like Perez Hilton on there. He's had like Vinny from Jersey Shore on there. Some other dudes and me.
And you.
And Smosh. She interviewed Smosh. She interviewed Michael Buckley.
Yeah, this was at VidCon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at VidCon. He was set up at VidCon. So this was a quote by Deepak Chopra. He's kind of known as by saying, by ridding oneself of negative emotions and developing intuition, by listening to signals from your body, your health can be improved. Kind of like mind over matter, how strong your mind is. Now, there is 21st century medicine that is very healthy. You know, like if you should listen to your doctor, but I feel like your mind can do a ton. You know, your mind's very strong.
I feel like people underestimate drastically the power of healthy thinking, and just mentally, I feel like you can spiral yourself into, unhealth. Like your immune system goes down when you're not thinking positively. I know it sounds weird,
but just think about like when you're stressed, you're like, oh man, nothing. Like my life sucks. Nothing's going.
And then you start not feeling
feel
good.
Like? I mean, just think of like your body position when you have those things like, man, this sucks, like my life's, and like this, like, you go like this, right? You start to shrivel, but when you're like, I can do it, I believe in myself, I'm good enough and people like me, you start to like, you have this different body position where you're like, you can just tell by the way like your body looks like,
and there are like physical, like you breathe more shallow,
you don't breathe as much,
you're
oxygen,
not sitting up straight, like you're not getting enough sleep because you're worried about stuff. Like all these different things that come into play. Anyways, that's what I think. I feel like you can. I mean, obviously you can't fix everything with your mind, but you can improve the quality of your life drastically by just thinking positive.
Okay, so next item of business, Shay Loss September. I've been talking about it in the vlogs. I've been saying that I was going to make a Shay Loss video. I just haven't got to it yet. So I wanted to talk about it briefly today in the podcast. So what is it going to be? What are we going to do in the month of September? Basically, it's going to kind of be like a daily vlog, but it's going to kind of like, we're going to be there with you every day of September, helping you achieve your goals. What we want to do is we want everybody to choose 3 goals. And I'm going to be the same way. I'm going to pick 3 goals that I'm going to, strive for to achieve in the month of September, like qualify for the Boston Marathon, which I'm not looking forward to. Like when we were having a meeting about this, and I said, I'm like, that's going to be one of my goals. I'm going to qualify for the Boston Marathon. I thought, oh, Shay, shut your big fat mouth. Because every time I say I'll do one of these things, I know that you guys will be there, like, keeping me honest, like, Shay, you said you're going to do this. And so, like, I remember very specifically, mile 20, LA Marathon, I hit the wall. Like, not necessarily, like, where I was, like, I hit the wall mentally, where it's like, I have to run 6 more miles. I felt like I couldn't run 1 more step. Like, I want to stop right now and lay down flat on my back. Like, I can't imagine running 6 more miles, that first LA Marathon that I did. And I remember, and I've said this, I don't know if I've said it to you guys, but I remember feeling angry at myself. Like, why did I say I would do this? Like, I can't do it. I can't do this. I want to stop. And I knew that all those people were watching, and I knew that my mom was in town, and that you were, and the kids were at the finish line. And I was like so mad at myself that I said I would do this thing. And it's like, this is so hard. Why did I say I was so, shut up, Shay, quit saying you'll do these things. But then, mind over matter. Like, I'm not even joking. Everything in your body, if those of you who have run a marathon, it's telling you to stop. Like, why are you doing this? This is not good for you. Like, stop. But your mind is so much stronger than you think it is. And those last 6 miles were all run on my brain. I just went like, on my squishy brain. You know what I mean? It was all on your mind.
That's talented.
Now that like that's over, and Shay lost, like I've lost this weight, I've kind of like asked myself, like, what's the next step? Like, what do I do?
I think that's just one example where you can do anything. Like, you set that main goal,
brick by
and
brick.
When you had a moment where it was like failure was coming in, and you just thought, I can't do it. Mind over matter, you did it, and then you did it again in Nashville, and then you did another half in San Francisco. Yeah. So it's just goes to show, if you would have stopped, because you could have. Yeah. You could have been, you know what? I don't need to finish.
I ran 20 miles.
My wife will still love me. My kids will still love me too. It's fine. I might have some haters in the comments, but you could have stopped, but you didn't. And
I'm a champion, babe. I love you.
Champion. Anyways, I know you're going to talk more about this in Shay Loss, so we shouldn't dive totally into it. But
So this is what I want to talk about. The month of September, we want you guys on board, no matter where you're at. Like, you don't have to be running marathons. If you're 800 pounds and you can't even walk a half of a step, that's okay. Like, the month of September is all about growth, about you and us as a group. Like, we're going to be a team is what I'm saying. Like, we're going to be doing video responses. I want you guys to, we're going to be very involved. Like Maria and Brett and Jared, they have a whole wall in my office. I showed you in the vlog the other day with, you know, sticky notes of like ideas and like what we want to talk about and motivational things. And like, we want you guys to be involved with video responses and tweets, and we want you guys on board. Like, I have sincere goals that I'm going to try to set for myself, and we all need to like achieve these goals together. Our goals don't have to be the same. But that's why I want to tell you now and get you guys ready for September 1st, because I want you to have some self-introspection, to think about it. Like, what are some 3 goals that I can set for myself that I can reach? Attainable goals, you know, like, you got to stretch yourself a little bit. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to run a mile at the end of September. Like, push yourself a little bit, but there's a fine line between like setting ridiculous goals like, I'm going to run to the moon, you know, or, you know, so there's definitely like, have some self-introspection and pick a goal that will be hard, that will stretch yourself. But if you work hard every day of September and you're on board with us and you're, you know, we're reading these books and we're going to be motivating you, and like, we're going to try to like every facet of bettering yourself, we're going to try to be there for you and do this together as a team. If you've been like, I don't know, I know I need to lose weight or I need to do this, this is the chance, you know, this is the time where it's like, we all want to do this together and make it a huge thing. And, and we want to, you know, make a change and, you know, get better. So
get ready for the month of September. So
do some self-introspection and think about it. And I'm not even talking about, you know, because even if you're in shape, like, you can still do this. And it's not only, you know, weight loss. Like, we want to set some, like, you know, mental goals. Like, maybe you want to raise your grades. You know, a lot of you are going back to school. You know, it's not necessarily like you have to lose weight. This isn't a weight loss thing only. So don't get confused. Like, oh, it's just, I'm not.
It's Shay loss. It's just shedding the bad.
That's why we thought like we wanted to switch, you know, because it's not really about weight loss. Like, that can definitely be an aspect of it, but it's even like maybe setting a goal to read, you know, 5 nonfiction books in the month of September. You know, 5 books that will help you become a better person. Yeah, or whatever it is. Yeah. Like, set a goal for yourself. Like, just think about, what do you want to do? Maybe you want to quit smoking. Like, whatever it is. Like, just that thing. We all have it, you know, whatever that thing is for you. Be honest with yourself. Be willing to be your own devil's advocate. Be like, hey, self, like, maybe you could work on this. I mean, listen, I'm not pushing you. I'm not pushing you, self. It's up to you. But just think about it. Just think about it. Just maybe. So that brings me to this point. And so I was like, last night we were like reading our books. You know, I was thinking we're like a married couple you see on the movies. Like, we're both sitting there in our
little
beds.
books and our night lights.
Yeah, I have my lamp on the side. She has her lamp. She has her glasses on, and we're like reading our books. And I have my little pen, and I'm like marking stuff. And I'm like, it's like a movie, you know, like, okay, night, kisses. And then we had like never mind.
What?
So I was reading this book. This is such a good book. One of you tweet me, who gave this book to me? Bless your heart. It was at VidCon. You had blonde hair. You had a ShayCarl hat on. It was a boy, probably like 19, I want to say. Tweet me. I'll recognize you. This book is... Oh, love it. Okay, so this is one paragraph I want to read to you guys, because I was in my mind, I was like, okay, so what are my goals? What am I going to do for the September? Because I have to set my own goals. So one is qualify for the Boston Marathon, and we're going to talk about goal setting as we get into this process. I mean, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, because goal setting is, you know, everybody knows how to set a goal. It's like, oh, say you're going to do something and then do it. Well, it's a lot, you know, it can be a lot more complicated than that. Like, for instance, I want to run the Boston Marathon. So you can't just say, I'm going to run the Boston Marathon. That's my goal. You have to do little things in between that. For instance, I'm going to try to run 200 miles in the month of September. I figure if I can get, you know, 5, you know, maybe 4 10 miles a week, 10-mile runs, and then a long run, by the time September's over, I'll have run 200 miles. I was thinking originally I wanted...
and that's a huge goal in itself. So start with the little, like, I'm going to wake up this morning and I'm going to go running.
Right. Or like, just whatever it is. So anyway, okay, I'm getting off the point. So I'm going to read this paragraph to you from this book.
And then we'll answer some of your questions.
Yeah, then we're going to go to your questions.
We promise we're going to get to your questions.
Right. So he says, here's an interesting thing in putting voice to your fondest dreams can make you... Oh, okay, sorry. Here's an interesting thing. If putting voice to your fondest dreams can make you a little uncomfortable, it can also make everyone around you uncomfortable, and often far more so. Tell your 5 closest friends about your biggest ambition and watch how they squirm. Why? Because showing them your want or desire also reminds them of their want or lack. This is one reason that when you're formulating goals and creating a vision for your future, it's important to be careful who you share your vision with. So like last night I was like, I can't wait to tell them all my goals and like what I'm going to do. And like, I also want to try to, in the month of September, do 100 push-ups, be able to do 100 push-ups at one time. And I have like a whole thing about that I'll explain later. But this is where I was like, oh crap, maybe I shouldn't tell people my goals. He said, it's natural to share your enthusiasm with everyone around you. And it's also useful to remember, wait, I skipped. This is one reason. Careful with whom you share your goals with. It's natural to share your enthusiasm and everyone around you, and it's also useful to remember that people often tend to respond by raining on your parade. When they do, it's not out of malice or the conscious desire to blunt your excitement. More often, it's simply a form of self-defense. They'd rather not hear about the vision that you have because it reminds them of the vision they've lost. And I read farther into this book, it talks about, as a baby, when we grow up, we have to learn how to walk, right? And think of a baby learning to walk. How many times does a baby fall down and mess up and fail? Like most of the time, right? Babies suck at walking. They fall down all the time. But eventually, babies learn to walk. Just like all of us, unless you're still crawling around, you learn to walk. You overcome that thing that was defeating you. And babies they weren't taught that just to give up. And babies don't say like, well, I guess
It's like they don't fall down and they're like, oh, I can't do it again. I guess I'll just sit here and I'll crawl around. Crawling around's not that bad. I guess I'll just do that instead.
It's not so bad.
I don't really need to walk.
Right. A couple of my friends crawl. Yeah, they overcome that. But as we get older, we learn these defeating things where it's like people lose their dreams. People lose the ability to go after and not give up. And so anyways, I just want to read that paragraph. So
when you're
don't hate me for wanting to have these goals. And the same for you. Like, you might have these goals and you might be discouraged by your friends and family. Like, maybe your parents.
Why are you going to try to do that? Yeah. Seriously?
Why are you going to do that?
You don't need to do that.
And so that's one thing that you can expect almost is like people trying to rain on your parade or, saying negative things. And then that's kind of like, that was interesting when I was thinking about like the comments that say like, I miss the fat Shay. I miss the old Shay. And I think what happens is mentally people used to see the fat, big Shay and it was like, oh, like, he's a fat, obnoxious dude and he can still have that beautiful wife and this great life. And it was almost like, well, that maybe gives me hope that I can, not try very hard and have this great life. And then all of a sudden when I started like losing weight and like doing all these things that took a lot of hard work and realizing that it really is, something that you have to work towards, it almost becomes like, well, I don't want to do that. And so it's like, then they miss the old me that seemed like he really just didn't give a crap and was just like letting himself go, but he still had all these great things in his life. Where in reality, I'm just lucky to have a girl that like hung around while I, gained 120 pounds.
And I think that you need to remember that it's not that people don't, it's like you should always be happy with yourself, like if you are larger or whatever, you should be happy. But if you're not happy, which most people are like, oh, I need to do this, I should do that, I really should do that, but I don't have time or, whatever. If you're not happy, then do something about it. And you can do something about it and don't let others hold you back.
He talks about in this book that imagine, every day you're either going a little bit up in progression or you're going a little bit down. There's not a middle.
There's not really
a middle path. You're not just cruising like, I'm doing okay, I'm doing average. You're either going a little bit down or you're going a little bit up every day. And, it may not seem like that big of a difference at the time because that line, he has this diagram in here that he shows. That line right here, it stays the same. Blake, can you see that? Does that show up? Can you see that? It's like, zoom in on it. Yeah, go ahead and get a little zoom here. Because he has this lifeline basically. And as you look at it, as you're going on, you're either getting a little bit better or a little bit worse. And over time, you start to see dramatic results. And that is the secret. That is the great secret of life, is that it takes time. It's hard. In our society today, it's always about the quick fix, the microwave society. Hurry up. We're not patient with ourselves. That's one of the main secrets of success. If I was to tell you one thing, is you got to be patient. It takes time. It's going to be hard and it's going to take a while, but eventually, if you continue to work at it little by little by little, brick by brick, Rome will be built. Rome wasn't built in a day. Every 1,000-mile journey starts with one step. How do you eat an elephant? one bite at a time. It's just those little things pushing towards it every day. And eventually you start to see dramatic results and it goes way off the graph. But at first, you know, it seems like, you know, there's not much of a change. Anyways, we're going to talk more about this. It's going to be a whole month of it. 5 minutes. Have we been talking and we're almost done?
Yeah, we did it again.
I'm sorry. Oh, crap. Well, join us in September. You can hear more of my blabbering.
But we are going to get to a viewer question.
Okay, so we're going to go to the Twitter questions. And I hope you guys know that, like, I'm very sincere about this. Like, I want to see you guys succeed. I want you to feel better, and I feel better. And I hope you can see my excitement. I hope you can be like, this guy's like a self-righteous douchebag, you know? Like, I want you to know that I feel amazing, and you can too. And I want you guys to feel that. Okay, so let's go to these questions.
Well, we wanted to talk a little bit about back to school. Just because baby Tard went to school for the first time ever, and she actually really liked it. There was a question in here that said, how...
This top one, which one? Amanda's?
Okay, hold on, can't find it. It was about going back to school.
Amanda Rush, can you talk about how you guys felt the very first time your kids went back to school?
Yes, that one, you're right.
My son is starting school on Monday, his first day ever, and I'm so nervous for him to go.
Yeah, I think this is a really hard one for moms because moms, you know, you have your babies and you don't want to leave them, and sometimes you're kicking them out the door, but usually I'm like, please, I don't want you to go to school because then you're not my baby anymore. I think oftentimes it's harder for parents than it is for kids, and you need to realize that and remember the kids are excited. You know, they want to make new friends, they want to be bigger, they want to grow, and so not to overthink it. Like, you might be really scared to send your kids off to school, but it's a natural and normal progression of life, and they're going to love it.
I think those are good moments to kind of like cherish your children. Like, wow, this is their first day of school. And, you know, time does really fly. Like, now that, you know, we're getting a little bit older and we have, you know, Suntar is a 3rd grader and you see them growing up, it's like, holy crap, like they're getting older and those times are slipping by. So it's a good opportunity to be like, I love you. You know, like, live in the now and like really enjoy, like, remember those things. I remember, you know, big moments in my life. I like try to like just think about all my senses, like all 5 of my senses. Like the first day of school, like when you take your kid there, like, what does it smell like? Just like reliving all those things, listen to the sounds and what you see, and just like really living in that moment and enjoying that moment with the kid. Mm-hmm. First day of school can be scary, but, you know, don't be a wuss. Just do it.
It's been done hundreds of times.
Here's a good one that I want to talk about. Megan Lockhart asks on Twitter, what would you do if the kids make friends with kids that are a bad influence on them? Not just now, but in the future, too. And that's huge. That's huge. One, because I remember being a teenager and not wanting to hang out with my parents. I wanted to hang out with Trevor and Shane. Like, I loved hanging out because we'd go to Trevor's house, we'd watch MTV and call chicks, you know?
Call chicks?
Dude, so many chicks. I was always calling chicks.
That's true. Your kids kind of get to a point where it's like, I don't want to hang out with mom and dad.
I know. We just got to be so cool that they won't want to leave. They won't want to leave our site. But that's something we really worry about. For instance, Suntar just started 3rd grade, and there's this kid, we're not going to say his name, there's this kid in the class who's kind of like a troubled kid. And he's only been to school for a week, but like the 3rd day of class, this kid, I guess he got offended or something, like made him mad, and he gets up and he puts his backpack on and is like, I'm leaving. And he like goes to walk out of the classroom, and the teacher's like, sit down, I'm gonna count to 5. And Suntar is telling us this whole story, you know, after school, and she's like 5, 4, 3, and he's like standing at the door. It's like one of those things, like, you better not, don't, like a Nemo. He's like, don't touch that butt, don't touch the boat. And the teacher was sitting there telling him, don't walk out, and he just left. He's like, you know, in defiance, he just walks out and just leaves with his backpack. This little 3rd grade kid just cruises on out of the classroom like, screw you, teacher. Did I just flip off?
Yeah, you did.
He didn't do that, but that was like the attitude he had. Just leave it in, Blake. I'm a bad person. Anyways, so this kid just jets out of there, and Suntar was like, he said this classic line. He goes, me and all the kids looked at each other and goes, is this just happening? Or did that just happen? Did that just happen? It was hilarious. So then we find out later, because Colette went to pick him up from school, they were, tell the story when the kid was all by himself, this same kid.
Oh, I was, the teacher came up to me and obviously was like, Suntard is so nice. And I'm a great parent. That's why. No, just kidding. No, but she was just telling me how appreciative she was of Suntard and what a good kid he was, because this kid who was the troublemaker, who everybody sort of like stayed away from because he's a big troublemaker, he was sitting alone at snack time, and Suntard went and sat next to him. And she said, I don't really know what the conversation was like. I don't think there was any conversation, but he sat next to him, and I think that made him feel good. And she was really appreciative and grateful for him for doing that. And, initially I'm like, oh, he's making friends with, the bad kids. But I think that's so important for him to reach out to him, because that's what we teach him, to be kind to everybody. And so it was. So
because I was kind of thinking, as a dad, I'm like, well, that's good. I'm glad you did that. I'm glad you went up and sat next to him. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want him like hanging out with that kid.
But then do you remember what Suntard said about the kid?
Yeah. So Suntard, he goes, Mom, Dad, Suntard, like, don't measure your kids to Suntard. And it's not like we're good parents. He's just, for some reason, he's just like his heart is like,
he has a really, really big heart.
He said, Mom and Dad, I just think he's like upset because his mom and dad are separated. And he has like problems at home, and that's why he was acting out in class. And I'm like,
and we're like, what?
Like, what are you, therapist Suntard or something?
Like, what?
But he saw that. Like, he saw that this kid, his mom and dad were separated, and I think he realized that that's why. So that's something I do. I'm fearing, Megan. Like, I want my kids to be, like any parent, you want your kids to be safe and the best, and you don't want these other little kids to affect them.
To influence them.
So the biggest thing to do is you got them at home. You got a majority of their time. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's when you got to teach them. You can't just throw them in front of a TV or throw them, just like, hey, and then when they go to school, like, hey, love you, don't hang out with bad kids. Like, that's your time to like influence your kids. You have to be. I'm getting the wrap up. Okay.
But take that time and use it to, every second is yours to teach them, what you want to teach them.
Real quick, last couple things. Christina, Sophia, and Tosi asked on Twitter, how about pack your lunches? We've had the kids just buy the school lunches so far.
Yeah, I think that what we're going to do this year is have the menu, because they always make a menu at school. Like, read the menu and talk about it before, like, hey guys, on Wednesday they're having this. Do you guys all like that? And if not, then we're going to pack lunches and just try to keep it healthy. Like, instead of peanut butter and jelly, you could do peanut butter and banana.
I think the schools do a pretty good job, though.
Yeah, here in California they do a pretty good job.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're sorry. The next podcast, I promise, we'll get to more of your questions and tweets.
You guys learned about, set your goals now, because we're going to start in September. Shaylos, we're going to hit it hard.
Get ready.
So set your goals and don't
self-introspection.
And don't let others discourage you. And if you don't want to talk about your goals yet, that's fine too. Let them settle in your brain and in your thoughts for now, and then we'll start in September.
Perfect advice. And video responses. Play us out, Rolf. Leave us video responses. We're going to start using those in the podcast.
Yes.
I want to see your faces in the podcast.
And we're so thankful for Maria, because we have a little bit more of a structure. We're going to start using that more and using your comments to answer. So, thanks,
when
guys.
The kids go to sleep,
love you.
Yeah. Bye. Chicka chicka da. Bow, bow, bow.